The good night, good night, good night. I think we've said hello to everyone. So thank you for your patience. We're a little behind schedule, but we welcome you tonight, and we are excited for the last round. Like it's like we started just yesterday, and we're already here at the end of the month. What's going on? It's crazy.
Yeah, the month has flown by, but
so fast.
Let's not let the year do the same. Let's try and start to make all the necessary plans and follow through with our goals for 2022, right?
Yes, absolutely. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about locations to buy, how to assess that, and some of the locations we've bought in, just how we made that assessment, what we looked at, and what helped us make that leap. And we also have a guest who will introduce a little later. And so she'll talk about her experiences as well. So Andrea, although some of the folks are coming back to us from, previous nights, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, they probably, if you've come and you've been here for all the sessions that we've had thus far, thank you very much for doing that. You probably already know us and know us well. But if you don't, I'm Andrea. And as we've said before, Kemba and I share the same last name because we're sister-in-laws. And I've got 3 children. My big why is my family, my children, and my husband. That's why I do real estate and have worked very hard to make sure that I could build a generational wealth through real estate, because I know that, I'm not going to be expecting an inheritance coming down. And so making sure that I can do this and do it for my family and change, history for ourselves. I've come with a teaching background, financial services. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I love it. I love what I do. I love that, real estate has given me an opportunity to provide for myself today, because this is what I do full time, as well as provide for my children and their futures. So that's me.
And I am, Andrea and I are sisters-in-laws. We started Keen Group together. I also have a background in financial services. I used to work for one of the big 5 banks. And along the way, I began investing in real estate I would say maybe 3 to 5 years after I started at the bank, and then, just did a little bit, and then I was able to leave my full-time job mid 2020, but actually officially gave it up early 2021, and I've been doing this ever since. I have 3 young ones and married. We live in Etobicoke, and yes, I love real estate investing. It is exciting. It reminded me, since we started a new project, that, it is an exciting thing. And so we'll love to share our experiences with you tonight. And hopefully along the way, you will learn something and you will apply it to your own life and hopefully see some of the success in real estate yourself.
And before we continue, maybe you can just shout out in the chat where you're coming from, and maybe even one little tidbit about you. It could be that you love real estate like we do, but it could be any other piece of information. It's always great to know who it is who our audience is and who we're speaking to. I know some of you feel just as passionate as us. But if there's something else that you love or that you've been doing and doing it well for yourself and your family, share it in the chat. So our services, we really started, as we've explained, we started on our own building real estate, mostly for ourselves independently. And Kemba and I got to know each other through our, family, like our family husbands married, our husbands are brothers, and we married into the family. And so together we decided, why continue to do what we're doing separately? Why not join forces? And we developed Keen. So really, Keena's about helping you and teaching you our experience from our experience and the expertise that we've developed over time. We want to use that to help you understand how you can be successful in real estate, whether it be, setting up your rentals. If you buy a rental property, short or long term, we can help you with any education across any aspect of real estate. Does it make sense, Andrea, to do a corporation, or, should I get some help to, buy my first or next property? And we do consultation. We've even, taken on and been working on building a podcast so that we can continually educate you with stories of success that we've encountered either directly through our business or through individuals that we've met that are doing something successfully in business, whether it be real estate or otherwise. And of course, we partner you with great experts. Like, we are not the complete expert on everything. We have mortgage agents and realtors and lawyers and accountants that are all great experts that we bring to you as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And as we share everything tonight, just remember that you have to realize that there are risks associated with investing in real estate. And although we're sharing our experiences, we just need you to make sure that you're getting independent advice before you take any steps, and you make sure that you are aware of the risks involved in investing in real estate. Now we can move on. Okay, so our goal is to improve home ownership and investment ownership in the BIPOC community in Canada by 20% in the next 10 years. And I know that looks like about 2% a year. I think we shared in the first sessions how where we stand. Some groups, depending on the income level, are only at a 23% ownership level. And even at our highest income levels, we are only going up to, say, 80% ownership up there, whereas other groups, even in low income levels, are at 70%, and in their high income levels, they're up as high as 95 and 98% ownership. And that makes a huge difference in so many aspects of our community that we want to increase that ownership among, everyone in our community. Now, is there still room for real estate in the pricing increases we've seen? So, a lot of people are talking about the fact that, oh my goodness, the market has run away and it's so expensive to buy. And what we want to highlight here is that, yes, there is still room for, there is still definitely room for improvement in the markets, and there's still room for you to get in and still make some of those gains that we're seeing other communities are making in terms of the wealth building that real estate has allowed for. I know that this table, if you just look at it, it's fairly easy to understand once you explain. So these are all the provinces, and this is the projected growth in the populations in these provinces over the next few years. I'm just trying to hide my controls. Okay. So yeah, so most of the provinces, almost all except one, is showing an increase. And these are some of the things you should look at. But overall, Canada is expected to grow. Right now, we're at 38 million people in Canada. We're expected to grow anywhere from 44 million to 70 million in the next decades coming. So up to 2068. So that's meaning that if we don't know where to put people now, we really don't know where to put people in the next years coming if we don't build more. And so that's why the prices are escalating, but we need to get in because there will still be growth in prices to come. Does that make sense? And Andrea, do you want to add anything here?
No, I think that it looks like to me everywhere in Canada just about is a great place to be in terms of real estate and ownership. So that's awesome.
People need places to live.
Yes.
So in terms of an example of, one of the places we bought is Kingston, Ontario. So why buy in Kingston? The population in Kingston is growing. There's a huge availability of, well, not a huge availability. As time passes, the prices are a lot more attractive and were more attractive than, say, Toronto, and still are more attractive than Toronto. The vacancy rates have been historically low. I can say through the pandemic that there was maybe an uptick in vacancy because the economy in Kingston is really based on the student population at the university. So there's several large universities. So there's Queen's, there's Laurentian, there's a lot of learning institutions there. And so when the pandemic hit, that impacted it a little bit. But in general, the vacancy rates are still under 5%. And by vacancy rates, it just means how many units are available to rent. And the lower the vacancy rate means the lower the availability of units in the area. And that just means that you will have the ability to rent it a lot easier. And so we look at that type of data when we're looking at a location to buy. The rents are quite strong in terms of numbers. So we look at the average rents in a place to say, if we buy a place to invest in that area, will it rent for the number or the amount that will help me pay for it? And for sure, Kingston is one of the places where the average income is really good. It's about 87,000 average income. And so that's a pretty good income. And because they have like a military base close by, they have different industries within Kingston that help to support the economy. It's not based solely on, say, the universities, or it's solely based on one industry. There's a bit of resilience in that economy, in that if one economy is low, if one industry is low, they have other industries in there that will help ensure that you will constantly have a flow of renters. Or if you decide to live in Kingston, you'll have opportunities for employment there as well. Another reason why we invested was that we had a pretty good team. We found ourselves a great property management company to help manage that property. And we also had a great realtor, and then we developed more relationships over time. So those things all came together to help make it a great, great investment in Kingston. And so, as we talk through some of the key factors when you're looking at a location to buy, you want to look at the population trends. So we started out looking at what Canada looks like in terms of the population. Is it growing? Is it decreasing? Is it staying stagnant? And as we can see, it's absolutely growing over the next couple of years, the economic strength of a place. And so you can look at Canada as a whole. Is it economically strong? Yes. But then when you want to look at a specific location, so for example, if you were going to look to buy in a place like Windsor, is the economy in Windsor strong? Yes. Is the economy in Toronto strong? It's even stronger in Toronto. So that's why a lot of people gravitate to major cities. But you need to look at those things about a location to determine, is it a place that I want to rent or buy a rental property, or even go to live to earn income. So average rents, vacancy rates, I spoke about. And then you want to look at what are the amenities and what is attracting people. Are there schools? Will people who want to have families have enough schools for their kids? And will they have enough entertainment to keep a healthy lifestyle in that community? What's the community like? And so all these things you research about a specific location if you're going to decide about buying any property in that region or that neighborhood. It ensures that you have a demand for your property, whether it be for rentals or resale down the line. Andrea, what's the deal about buying in Cambridge?
Well, just like I think because we were focusing on locations tonight, and I think, it's great whether you choose Kingston or Cambridge. There are so many other places, but we thought we'd share with you a few of the places that we ourselves have chosen. I mean, there are other great areas close to in and around Cambridge that would make Cambridge, not just Cambridge, but the Kitchener-Waterloo area, a great area to buy. And so when we were buying in Cambridge, for sure, a lot of the information that Kemba just shared in terms of vacancy rates, I was looking for not just the typical things. Like I thought Cambridge, because I was absolutely thinking of my family. I had a fairly young family still, taking them to activities and all these things. And I wanted to be able to have some unlike Kingston, where Kemba, it was a couple, more than a couple hours away, a property manager made sense. Well, Cambridge being less than an hour away from the GTA, it seemed attainable for me to self-manage. I would say that I would much prefer to have property management now over time, but initially at the outset, I was definitely gung-ho to be able to do some of it. And I didn't do it right away because I did want to make sure that I took on the property management. I did have, at the time when this purchase was made, the owner stayed on. And so he became my property manager at that property. And I saw great things like tenancy was fairly readily available. There was a demand there. Again, like Kingston, you have close by Waterloo and Kitchener with colleges and universities that puts a demand on it. That wasn't specifically my clientele, but it meant for me that I would absolutely have at my disposal the access to not just professionals or employed individuals. It could be, because this property here is a triplex, it could make a great unit for students as well, because they're inside it are 3 one-bedroom units that could be a great place for a single professional, a married couple, or even a student. So buying in Cambridge for me meant, as I said, close. The economy there is good. And I knew that Cambridge was still developing and growing. In fact, I think it's still fairly small compared to the region of Peel where I lived in and Toronto. So the numbers were small. So I knew that there was growth potential there. And I wanted to be where I knew that the property value would only go up over time. In fact, later in this presentation, we'll show you how that number has changed substantially. The rents, so for the purchase price was much more appealing to me in Cambridge than naturally at the time in the region of Peel, and absolutely Toronto to me was always fairly expensive. And so buying in Cambridge meant that I could get, for example, not just a single unit or a condo like I would have been restricted to in Toronto, but I could get a 3-unit. And so in this 3-unit, for someone like who's thinking of making their first purchase, especially if you're like thinking unconventionally, like we've been asking you to do from session 1, which means maybe considering buying a unit or property where you could be an owner in it, along with maybe 2 or 1 other unit that you can rent out and generate income. Because then into property ownership is much more feasible or can happen. And you can also use not just your income to qualify for that property, but also the income of the rents that you would collect from that other unit or other 2 units. So I felt that Cambridge, like Kingston, makes a great buy for someone who is looking to either get in and get started, or also get in, get started, and generate income, right? So that you can have more than just your income qualifying and more than just living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe your goal is to buy another property down the road. And so you have rents that were favorable. So I was easily able to get similar rents to what we were getting in the GTA area, but at a substantially lower purchase price, I made cash flow. So I was always generating from the get-go with this purchase. I was always going to be able to get extra money after all my mortgages paid, my taxes are paid. And in this unit in particular, a lot of the utilities are individualized to the units so that the hydro is being assumed and the water is being assumed by the tenants. And so again, reducing my costs, meaning that now I have more income or more cash flow. So I agree that the economics was good in Cambridge. The population has continuously grown there, making it great for the increase in value on the property as well. So Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo, all of those areas are fantastic for you as a someone who's considering getting in either the first time or possibly buying a second property.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking like an investor. So I don't think that each of us would naturally think to buy our first property with keeping in mind, the saleability of it or the ability to sell it down the road. Many of us often think when we're buying, we base it on emotions, right? Does it have the right size kitchen? Does it have enough bedrooms or bathrooms? And absolutely, when you buy it for you and you alone, it makes sense to make decisions based on whether it fits your needs and your likes. And but if it's a personal choice, when you're buying and you're thinking of the future of this property, either future for you to keep it long term or future for you to sell it, or even to hold on to it as a rental, it would be good to consider, how marketable would it be down the road, whether it allows the value to go up substantially, and do you have multiple types of buyers that it can appeal to? Because the more buyers it can appeal to, the more the value and purchase, the sale price will be when you go to sell again. So as well, if you're thinking like an investor, like the Cambridge property and the Kingston property that Kemba showed, does it have the potential for income? Because I don't think that every property that you buy may have that, but if you're buying a home, is it possible to consider buying a home that gives you a unit that you live in and a unit that could generate income for you? Or even in the case of a condo where you have 2 rooms, would you consider maybe renting a room and generating income? Oftentimes in the calculations, lender will consider the possibility that that property can generate income and use that to help you qualify and get an approval. So that's what we mean by thinking like an investor when you're buying. Obviously, the neighborhoods that you buy in and the locations that you buy in make a difference. So the 2 locations that we shared, absolutely, without a doubt, they are great areas to buy into. Now, the neighborhood within those areas also make a difference, right? If you're buying a home, ideally, if it's in a good school district with great amenities, access to parks and community centers and shopping, then it's a good product for, Ariana, can you just check the door? Because I feel that that lady's stuck at the door and I can't do much. Sorry. So yeah, so if you could, consider the other buyer or the future buyer when you're buying your property, it makes a huge difference in terms of how how much value that property will bring to you over time, or even how much rent you can get from that property in the event that you decide to hold on to it and generate income and keep it as a generational or legacy for the family, right? So absolutely, the income of that property, the appreciation and value in that property over time is important. We think of costs of I don't think that today that there's too many areas that I've ever been in that you can buy and lose out. It's very rare. If you go into a neighborhood where you potentially see the value of your property going down, that is not an ideal place or the type of property that you want to own. Or even consider buying even for rental purposes, because even if you're buying it for rental purposes, at some point in the future, you want to think of how will it fare when it's time to sell, or when it's time to rent and or turn your tenancies over, right? And always, I don't think in the GTA, we absolutely have, a number of experts that we can rely on, realtors that can help us with our purchases. But when we're going to Kingston or Cambridge or London, we're not going to bring that same realtor from the GTA to help us in those neighborhoods. They just don't have the knowledge and expertise to guide us. And we want to make sure that the purchase that we make, it's clear that the agent understands, where that property sits in relation to, the rest of the neighborhood. Is it a good street? Is it a good neighborhood? Can we get the rents that we, feel will help carry the cost of the property? And so we always want to hire and take on either local realtors, obviously local property managers, and the like, to make sure that our investment is a good, solid one. I mean, Kemba, you might add to some of that as well, especially being that you've, used a property manager in Kingston.
Yeah, just just when you think of the value that a local person can do for you, we were looking in London as well, but even in Kingston, anything that is coming up, the local expert will be able to say to you. So an example is they were considering building a rail that would allow you to get from London to Toronto in an hour. And that was coming. And so, the realtor at the time was showing me areas where would be easily accessible to that train link, and things like that are, you may not know it because you're not familiar with the area, you're not up on the news of that local area. So someone who lives there, someone who knows the area, can say to you, oh, they're planning to build a sewage dump or sewage plant right there next 2 years or 3 years from now. So having that type of information when you're looking at a place is important, because it tells you, well, the value of my property might drop because of this impending, decision by the city council, and you don't have a lot of control over that. It may come, it may not come, but you want to know about that, and you need to make your decision knowing that that information. It's really helpful, because you may get stuck with something that you don't want by not knowing these little local details. But
we get the insider scoop from the local expert, right?
Absolutely.
So I see some questions, Kemba, in the chat, and I think we can answer them here. What are the benefits of a property management company? Oh, I don't know, freedom of time. I don't have to travel and rush to Cambridge or Kingston. There's just so many benefits.
For sure. And Andrea, you hit it on the head. Like, I mean, for all of us, we may have either a full-time job, children, a life that is really busy. We want to gain the benefits of investing in real estate, but we may not want to take away from our lives to the point where it's taxing us, and then it becomes too much to manage. So especially when you buy property that is not in your local area, and even when you buy in your local area, sometimes depending on your life circumstance and what you have going on, you may not be able to take the time out to handle tenant inquiries or tenant issues, or even replace a tenant really quickly, and therefore you have your building vacant and you need to cover the cost while you have no one there. You have to assess what is the demand on my time, what do I want to spend my time focused on, and will hiring someone help me to achieve my goal of real estate investing, and at the same time achieve my other goals in life that I want to accomplish. Maybe I want to be able to pick up my kids every day from school, or maybe I want to join a team, a baseball team after work, and I have, I spend 2 hours doing that. So you really assess, where's your life? What is it that you're spending your time doing? And do you want to, one, have the expertise and inclination to actually invest your time and effort in managing that property well? Because another thing about it is that if you don't focus on it and make sure the property is well cared for, your inspections are done, all the things that are required, this is not just I throw my deposit down and I can walk away and forget about it.
Well, I think what you're saying, Kemba, is that they have expertise that you and I may not have. That's what a property manager brings to you as well. So it's like a good accountant for us. I absolutely can do a lot of my taxes, but if I take on the accountant that is knowledgeable and an expert, they will make sure that I'm taken care of beyond what I can see. And the property manager is that expert. So not to say that you can't do it if you choose, but they are the expert. And someone said, what percentage of that of your rent is allocated? Typically, it's anywhere from 7 to 10%. 7 at the lower end, maybe for condos and or new units, but 10% more commonly the amount allocated. And of course, if you buy right, you can also have that percentage covered in the cost that the rent in the rental amounts that you gain. By the way, our next expert, so we'll answer some more of the questions shortly. Our next expert is also in property management in the Cornwall area. So let us introduce Ashley Willis, who is our guest tonight. to share with you her experience in buying. So Ashley, are you here still? And you
I
might need to
am.
mute yourself. Oh, okay, good. Unmute yourself.
Yes.
Thank you, Ashley, for joining us. Maybe just tell us first a little bit about you, who you are, so that our listeners can understand who you are.
Yes, for sure. Thank you again for inviting me to this. So a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Toronto, and I'm first generation Canadian to Guyanese parents.
Okay.
They came here and went straight to Toronto. So I've always lived in Toronto, and again, a little bit about myself. I'm a single parent of a 15-year-old daughter who also helps with my business as an Airbnb property manager. So we manage only Airbnb properties in Cornwall. And I own a property here in Cornwall as well. So it took me to leave
Yeah, well,
Toronto
what
to come
prompted you
here.
actually? Like, what made you feel? Because I mean, like you said, you came originally to Toronto, which is what most people do. But
Yes.
what prompted you or pushed you to leave the Toronto area?
Yeah, no, definitely. When you're living in Toronto all your life, you really don't see or know other places to live. You just think Toronto is the only place to live, which is great because you get all these amenities, but you pay for all those amenities with the taxes and the cost of living being drastically high. So my sister actually got married and moved in with her husband in Ottawa. So
Okay.
being the only family member that could actually move closer to her to help, take care of my future niece and nephews. I just did some research. It was just time to get out of Toronto. Like I said, the cost of living was just astronomical. For my daughter's sake, she needed to be in a better school. There's a lot of bullying happening. So I just took these as signs as maybe it's time to just move out of the GTA. I've never thought about that before. It's not something I've spoken of being in a big city. Oh, you want to move? It's kind of like, why do you want to move?
Yeah, it sounds like insanity, but I mean, well, you made the move, and it wasn't that scary, right? It worked out.
No, I mean, when you do your research, right? So to me, I'm a numbers person. So it just has to make sense number wise. I was able to buy a house for the same cost of a condo in Toronto. And that's also having like a garage and a backyard.
So you got more for your dollar.
I did.
Yes.
And the majority of the homes here are freehold. So you're not paying a condo fee neither.
Yes.
Which is a big expense. It's almost like paying another mortgage.
Yes. So even after your
Toronto.
mortgage is gone, you're still paying, right?
Yeah.
The cost of a condo.
Yeah, you're really house poor at that point. You're just making, you're only able to pay the bills, and that's all you're able to really do. Which is unfortunate. Being a single parent, all the income that you bring in is what you use to pay for everything. So like I said,
maybe help our listeners understand then, Ashley, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
What the buying process looked like for you, right? Because you're sort of getting to that, right? What was it?
Yeah. So with my sister leaving to go to Ottawa, just doing research on the nearby cities, Cornwall statistically made sense to come here because of the cost of living in the house market. Sorry, I had a point in my mind as well. Sorry, yes. So it's almost like a miniature Toronto, in the sense that you don't get all the amenities, like there's no Dave and Buster's here, but you can get a full meal for half the cost of what you can pay for in Toronto. So all these little key factors.
So it's even less expensive to eat out?
Yes.
It's not
If
that
you've
far.
ever eaten
Tell
at
people where Cornwall is.
Oh my.
Ashley. Tell
Yes.
them where Cornwall is, so that, because some people may not understand and know where this is in relation to Toronto.
You're absolutely right, because it's kind of, as part of my business, I'm trying to make Cornwall known. So it's an hour and 15 minutes away from Ottawa.
Okay.
And more or less around this.
That's
We're Eastern Ontario.
So west of Ottawa, right?
Yes.
I think it's
Yes.
west. Yes.
It's west, I believe. Yeah,
So
because it's
you
so
would
weird when
hit
you're coming from.
Cornwall before Ottawa.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because you'd be driving
Brampton,
on
Cornwall.
the highway, right? It's an hour and 45 minutes away from Montreal,
Okay.
4 hours from Toronto. So I still have family in Toronto. So I mean, it's not too far. And then we have the Via Rail here as well. And then you have the New York border down the street as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
um,
Is that Gananoque area? Like,
uh, no, Akwesasne.
oh, wow. I don't even
That's
know
what I
that one.
haven't heard.
Thanks, Ashley. We never even heard of that.
I know. So they have some reserves around here as well. Some of the
Oh, okay.
indigenous, yes, it's close to the Quebec border, correct.
Yes, someone said that.
So
Awesome. Yes.
yes. Yes, so I do acquire the properties from homeowners, and
Okay.
then we do the full service of managing it.
Yeah.
So we become the host without actually owning the property. So to
So
tie
you
into
can
what
be
you
a
were,
co-host on a client's account with
if
Airbnb.
you
Is
have
that
an
what you mean?
existing one, yes, I can be a co-host. For the
Mhm.
most part, I am the actual host.
Okay, so
Um,
on the programs and the property management that you establish, you are
yes,
the host. Okay.
correct. Yes. So that's how our business works. So we really just need the property, and then we take over everything, the turnover, guest interactions, the cleaning, the turnovers, check in, check out, everything that a host would be doing. So it's to tie in what you were saying earlier about having a property manager,
Yes.
with the Airbnb property manager. Yes, I take on everything, where I just need your property, and then I send you your reservation for that month.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you were to buy, if you want to stay in GTA but want to buy in somewhere like Cornwall, then you would have someone like me to manage the property for you, for instance. And your property is just gaining equity, to your point earlier. And then I guess if you ever want to move to Cornwall, you have your house ready for you.
Yeah,
Nice.
so I mean, I think the move or even the mindset change to pick up and leave GTA for you has brought even not just the opportunity to own something more than a condo that you would have been limited to in Toronto, but it's also allowed you to build a business that you and your daughter run together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, yes, I mean, to your point, it's just made it a lot easier to do certain things that I would probably not be able to do just because of cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
Just the timing. I mean, my time was more involved with having multiple jobs just to make sure, the bills were paid, we're fed. So your goals are kind of on a different path because you need to survive. Not saying that it's not the same here, but at least again, with the cost of living being more reasonable, I'm able to venture to do other things if I wanted to, where the opportunity wouldn't be there really in Toronto. It'll be
Yes.
a lot harder. Not saying it just wouldn't happen, it'd just be a lot harder to acquire or achieve.
Someone
Awesome.
asked, is that your full-time job, Ashley?
Yeah.
So I also do staging, and then I am also a virtual assistant at night. Yeah.
But this is you're an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur, someone doing, you're running it all on your own and it's working.
I am.
So one of the last things I wanted to ask before you move on, because I think part of what we chatted about before is, would you recommend this kind of change to others? And would you say that having coaching or mentorship would be a process that would help them be successful in making this change?
Oh yeah, I wish I knew a lot of things I'm learning by myself right now, and networking and speaking to individuals. Had I had mentorship, I feel I would have been at least way more, I don't want to say advanced, but just in the goals that I want to acquire. I would have been at least 10 more steps maybe ahead of that. Having mentorship, which I will be acquiring soon, it helps to speak to someone who's been there, done that, to pick their brain, to seek their knowledge, and it comes with networking as well. They may know someone to help you achieve your goals, someone that you may not have known otherwise. So it makes things a lot easier to have that mentor there. It's like, I don't want to say it's like having a parent, but it's having that comfort of you're not doing it all by yourself. There's someone there that you can relate or just pick their brain on information. Like, what do you think about this? So I definitely wish I had it earlier. And I definitely recommend it to anyone that can get it.
And you've already decided that you're going to be joining us next month, March 9th, in our wealth building series for you and your daughter, right?
Yes. I wasn't sure if I could have mentioned that. Yes. So
we're happy, and I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah. She's doing her homework right now. That's why I have her.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's just see. There were some questions here before we.
Sorry.
Don't know if there's any. So people are loving this process that you take on, the ownership. And you know what? We could have used you, and probably still could use you if you could expand your business to Alberta. We're out there. And
maybe.
Yeah, you never know. You could.
I do want to travel, so you never know, because ultimately, as an entrepreneur, you don't want to have to do everything on your own. My wealth is to have time to do things that I want to do. So
that's why the property manager is good. And I believe in property management. So, and for anyone listening, I do agree. And I think what Ashley has done is brilliant, bringing to owners, right, who want to generate income through short-term rentals, the property management, to just take it over and just run it all, right? Because then it makes it, it gives you the freedoms that you want, right? And the opportunity as well. You have expertise because now you have the experience of, the client, working with the client, from the guest experience to the client owner experience. And so, I think this is great.
So the mortgage process, as you were discussing, it's tedious, but don't let that deter you. Nothing worth it. It comes easy. And that really comes into play. And don't buy expecting to make that $1 million tomorrow. The realistic goal is like you're planting that seed
slow
now.
And steady.
Yes. So someone else can live under the tree that you've planted years ago.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I like that.
I totally agree. It isn't an over, get rich scheme, get rich overnight. It takes time. And that's why, we believe, and you and I had that conversation, Ashley, that it's, we buy and we hold for the long term, because real estate is usually, yes, sure, right now in the GTA things are crazy. And you think this is the way the world usually works, but it isn't. It's usually more of a slow and steady, right? And so some people want to know where else is good outside of the GTA. Well, we were sharing with you, Cornwall is great. Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge. Someone said, is Cambridge still good to get into? Absolutely. Cambridge may not be seeing the same growth that you're seeing in the Kitchener area, but it's absolutely growing as well. And I was speaking from the perspective of being unconventional. If you're going to Cambridge, buying a single detached home is going to be expensive. But if you buy a detached home that has a second unit or a third unit, you have income. And now you're not doing it alone. Or maybe you could turn one of those units into a short-term rental and generate improved rental income compared to a long-term tenancy. And then you have control, because would you agree, Ashley, the short-term rental allows owners to turn it off and on when they need to?
I was just going to say, it's that flexible. So if you wanted to just do the Airbnb for maybe 6 months at a time, majority of my properties are 365, but yes, if you want to do 6 months, you could. Then if you want to do a tenancy, just so you felt more comfortable, just want to change it, you can stipulate that the lease is only for 6 months or whatever it is, the duration, and that way you can just go back and forth and not have to worry about I'm hoping you don't have to evict the person, but again, just make it flexible where it's stressed. Okay, you're staying here for this amount of time, and then you put it back on the platform for Airbnb. So it's that flexible. I prefer it. There's a possibility of generating more income than a normal tenancy as well. Not to say normal tenancy is bad, but it's just another option, I like to say. So
And there's different amounts of work for each. I do agree that, you know, there are some benefits on both sides, and there are some disadvantages possibly
correct.
on both sides.
Yeah.
So someone said, is Brantford a good area? And I've heard, we are not stating that we didn't say that Kitchener and Cambridge, Waterloo, you know, or Cornwall are the only places. Those are just some great places. But yes, you're right. As soon as you leave Toronto, many of those areas, St. Catharines, Brantford, Bradford, they're
Yeah.
all amazing places that you can find not just a single condo or a single house, but maybe a multi-unit that will allow you to generate income. And you don't have to move. We're not saying move. If you want to and need to stay in the GTA or the Toronto area, because that's where you reside, or wherever your property is, you can stay in that locale, but you can also just buy outside in an area that fits your needs and generates the income and the wealth building that you want to accomplish.
Yes. And what we'll say too is that any area you plan to buy in, you want to research the overall region, you want to research the town itself, you want to research the street, the history of what's going on in that neighborhood. We can tell you to buy in any area, but if you buy in the wrong part of that area, it's not going to be as good an idea as buying in the right area. And, you know, maybe an area is up and coming, so you'd have to know which areas of the city are up and coming. I can maybe get a better price, but it's going to, you know, I plan to hold it for 5 years, and in that 5 years, it's going to grow because that whole neighborhood is being redeveloped. And how do you know about that redevelopment? You know, you're doing your research, your realtor is helping you find that out. We can, as Andrea said, we can pinpoint areas that we know right now are great, but even if we say an area is great, it takes some more research to know if the specific property that you're interested in acquiring is going to be a good property, because you need to know what the particulars of that property are.
No, that I totally agree with that too. I even asked the realtor how diverse the area actually was. That was one of my concerns. So like, always ask or do a lot of research. Don't feel uncomfortable making that decision. It's a big decision. So ask as many questions to as many resources as you can.
And then Ashley said she saw one of these properties here. Which one, Ashley? Is just down the street from you? Because we were showing some listings in Cornwall.
Yes, the 200, the second one, the 269,900.
Yeah. So when I showed her the just where she fell in the presentation, she's like, "Hey, that house is just down the street from me."
You always have to be aware what's happening. Like, I'm not trying to buy another property right now, but it's good to know.
But you're always looking.
Happening. Exactly. I always tell my lawyer, I'm not going to buy anymore. He's like, okay, I'll see you in 2 years. So it's really, because when you see the opportunity, you're just like, oh, so I can do this. So it kind of becomes addictive when you see how the numbers make sense, right? Yeah. So right now, I wouldn't be able to afford the house that I'm in because of that second house that you saw is more than what I could afford. And that was only in 6 months of me purchasing this property. So, which is quite fast how the market's going.
Yes.
So I'm already bought out of the area that I'm in already.
Wow. So the market changes quickly. And really we only showed you the listings just to show you that if you leave Toronto, you can, you know, you might be able to get in a $500,000 and not just buy a condo, but buy a house, a detached house. And, you know, I agree with you, Ashley, the market is changing. It's changing fast. All we're saying is if you have a plan to own, you know, real estate is about buying and waiting, not waiting to buy. Okay. So you have to get in and get in now. Someone else asked, is where out of province is there for real estate? There's lots of great places out of province. We were trying to see if we could have another story with out of province to share with you tonight. We just couldn't line it all up, but we have a story. If you go to our website and listen to the podcast with Tanya and Brian, they bought out in New Brunswick, St. John, New Brunswick, and got an amazing property that is cash flowing because it's a rental property. It's not their principal residence. That's cash flowing $1,000 a month. That's how amazing you can buy out of province. We also own out of province in Alberta, in Edmonton area, and again, cash flowing properties out there with Airbnb units in them or short-term rentals too. So you can absolutely join us next month. Kemba, can we maybe just get to it, because we are coming to our end, wrapping up soon. We are not proposing that you can, Kemba, maybe you can do some of the summary here. We're not proposing that you wait. We're saying get on it now. Do this now, because you heard Ashley, you heard myself speak and Kemba speak, and the market is moving faster than our incomes are moving, any other number that we could potentially have. Sorry, Kemba, go ahead.
No, so just to recap the whole, we
4
really
weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks of generational wealth and the discussions and the sharing that we've had. We spoke about mindset and that first step to wealth building, and sometimes it's always the first step that is the biggest one. And you heard Ashley say that, right? Ashley said, now that she's there and she's thinking about another one, it seems easier. But Ashley, I'm sure when you started, that first step was a big step.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And then, in part two, we wanted you to figure out where do you stand in terms of your credit and your pre-approval. A lot of you said that you've already bought in the past. Some people may not have done that yet, and some people are waiting. It's always a good idea to know where you stand. So definitely check your credit, see if you can get a pre-approval. And we can help you if you want to be introduced to someone who can help you get a pre-approval. Definitely reach out to us, whether or not you join us in March. And we can help guide you in that regard. In terms of part three, we did surround yourself with a strong team of experts. That is where you partner for success. You find the right people who can advise you and guide you in the local markets, help you with all the experts that you need to make sure that you're making a sound decision, and not just speculating on hoping for the best, a lot of people of color have been left outside. And this is a study from RBC because they had a lower rate of ownership. If we had owned the same way that white Canadians owned collectively, our net worth would be $100 billion higher just through the pandemic if we had owned at the same rate as others in our country. So that's something that should resonate with everyone, that we need to take steps to own more property, and that will help us build wealth as a community for sure. And
as well, these crazy numbers and purchase. I mean, I felt like the housing market in the GTA, Toronto region of Peel was going up by 50 to 100 grand a month. But were you part of that increase every month? If you weren't invested in the real estate market, you maybe weren't. So now is decision time. Honestly, we've spent quite a few weeks. We're going to answer some more of your questions, and questions that we didn't get to. We absolutely have our Facebook group. Marcia, you can throw that in the chat that you can join. And our goal is there to continually provide you with information, whether you join us in our upcoming series next month, or you just want to stay and hang around and learn more. We have heard you many times over. Some of you have said, well, how do I save and get out of debt at the same time? Well, we're going to cover that in our series next month. I mean, we don't even know. Some of you in the last 2 weeks have said to us that you don't even have a pre-approval. If you don't have a pre-approval, then how do you know what your goal is or your target? That's almost like your guide and your plan to direct what you have to do with your savings and your debt and your income. So you do need that pre-approval as the foundation to begin, the next steps towards working towards getting that purchase. And if you've been struggling with your credit, then let's get it fixed. I noticed in our last 3 weeks that we've had a lot more people taking us on and downloading our credit repair book that Kemba and I put together for you. So if you haven't got it as yet, get it in our links that we send you in the email. We give you free access to that. It's normally a paid item that we make sure for those of you that have taken the time to come, we're rewarding you and giving you the tools that you need to help fix certain things like credit. If you're wondering how you can afford to get in with these escalating prices in market, we want to show you in our wealth building series how to do that. So if you haven't made a decision as yet to join us, some of you have, and some of you have registered, Ashley's registered, don't wait to invest in yourself. There's absolutely no reason. We're not promised anything in the future. And so spend today building and doing what you know makes sense for you. If one of your goals was to own, if it's not this year or in the next year, you have to start with the foundational stuff that you need. The wealth building series that we're going to talk about next month, starting March 9th, is exactly that. Our goal is to help you get to the successes that you want by helping you get the coaching that you need and the guidance that you need. You heard Ashley. She would have benefited from having mentorship and coaching, and allowed her probably to, instead of waiting to now discover that she's priced out of the neighborhood that she's currently in, she might have made a decision to maybe put, right, Ashley? I hope I'm
Yes.
not enough, but maybe
No,
you would have
sure.
taken that down payment and split it on 2 houses instead of 1.
No, exactly. So yes, if I had the mentorship, for sure. But like I said, you see stuff and you're just like, you understand more, and then you see the opportunity. So yes, definitely.
Yes. Because I feel that with coaching over time, I've been able to make better and better decisions, because I absolutely didn't know much when I started. I just knew that I had to do things differently, because as a teacher, it felt like I wasn't making enough to accomplish all my goals and all my dreams for myself and my family. And so I had to make changes.
And even for me, remember in my first, when I bought maybe in 2007.
Yes.
And I feel like I would have made, if I had known more and had the guidance throughout that time, instead of waiting 10 years. And imagine how many houses I could have bought in 10 years at the prices they were back then, if I had known what I know now. And that time I can't get back, but I was sort of,
or prices.
It tells me that if you can get, and we'd love for you to work with us, but if you can get the guidance that you need, it helps you to move forward quicker and not let the time pass you by where it feels even harder to do later on.
100% agree with that.
And you've probably seen the Tenure Challenge. I don't know if you've seen it posted in the newspapers or anywhere, but I've seen it a number of times. In 2011, I saw it, and in 2012, I saw it, where they were showing from 2011 to 2021, 2012 to 2022. Well, the property that I spoke to earlier in Cambridge, when I bought that property, I didn't buy it in 2012. I actually bought it in 2017. And you all know what 2017 was like. It was crazy. But the person who owned it prior to me had bought it in 2012 and bought it for $285, did some work, and was able to turn it around and sell it to me at $500. But I literally felt like a year and a half later, after I owned that house, that it was like we were showing values at the time, selling close to like 700,000 or greater. And today, I don't know. I think, today when I looked at the price online, I think I told you, Ashley, I took this number 1.25. It was right online today. There was a 3-unit in Cambridge that showed that it would sell for about $1,250,000. And I'm just like, ugh, that's so expensive compared to, 2017, which was what, 5 years ago? I'm just coming up to
too long ago. Yeah.
I did nothing. All I did was held on, and I stayed in the game. And this is why, Ashley, you're going to teach your daughter, and anyone that's here tonight, you're going to teach your children, you buy and you hold for the long term, because it's the long term that you gain. There's no way that I don't care, even if I made $500,000 a year, I could easily save and set aside, because typically I'm going to give a good chunk of that to CRA, because that's what they like. 50% of your dollars go towards taxes, and then the other 50% probably is going to living. So it's going to be very hard to save $1,250,000, but absolutely, when you put your money into real estate, your down payment, in no time at all, especially if you're in the right area and you've taken into account the factors we discussed, you can have a property that's worth well over $1 million. And just looking at conservative numbers, put it 10 years into the future, and guess what? Even if I just double it, that's 2.5 mil. But if it goes and continues in the crazy escalation that we've been seeing in the last 5 years, because I think in Cambridge it was saying about 25% year over year in the number that I looked up. And so, those are crazy numbers, right? So that if it's going up 25 to 30% a year by 2032, oh my goodness, I don't know. It's just,
So somebody in the chat asked, with what do you suggest we do with these crazy prices? We get it. It's unfathomable, but that's why we talk about places like Cornwall and places that are further out from maybe what's comfortable for you to maybe buy here and to buy somewhere outside of your comfort zone. If you choose to move and live there, that's great. You can start a new life or a different life,
you can also partner, Kemba, because someone was asking in the chat. We are like, you partnered to start. I've partnered on many deals. We've partnered with others. So that's someone asked, is that a good idea? Absolutely.
Ashley's on the call right now. Maybe she can partner with you and buy a house in Cornwall. You own, and you will be earning the equity. Sorry, Ashley, I just put you out there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's something where you have to figure out, I can't do it in a straight line, but I can do it in, a different way. And that's why we're saying to think differently about what are the possibilities and how I go about owning. If you want to buy your dream home with a picket fence and a pool and you want to buy that here in the GTA, it will feel out of reach because the prices of that type of home is not where, we'd like it to be, and it isn't as affordable. But if you buy something maybe in Cornwall or Cambridge or further out, say London, even those places are escalating, no doubt, but they aren't as pricey as this area right now. And so you just look for what is affordable, and you definitely have to find out what you can afford and then go from there. So we help you make that plan. We help you talk through where you're at and where you need to get to.
So Kemba, we do need to ask for people's time because now we're over. And so we apologize. We did start a little late because we were giving people time to come on. And of course, we loved Ashley's story as well. So we apologize for taking a little bit more of your time. If you're okay, we'll be wrapping up. And we do want to do our giveaways if you can hang on for a little bit longer.
Yes. And so the Wealth Building series starts March 9th. Andrea, why don't you tell them about it?
Yeah, if you were here the other 3 weeks, you heard a little bit about it, but if you are the person that feels that you want to begin the accomplishing of that goal to own your first or your next, then the series is for you, because we're going to help you with some foundational stuff that you may need to take care of, like budgeting and debt reduction, credit. Many of you even have great credit, and how can you use that great credit to possibly partner with a joint venture and help, 2 of you or 3 of you get into ownership. So we teach, I saw someone asking about partnerships in the chat, and absolutely, we help you understand how you make those partnerships work by putting in place the right agreements. We speak to, and all the stuff that we showed you with respect to buying in the right area, we do all that analysis, because there's no point in buying a property and not taking the time to understand that it makes sense, the area, the economics, all the variables that we discussed. We also help you understand that there's different ways to invest in real estate, but it doesn't all have to be active. You don't have to take, the process on of being an owner and a landlord. You can actually invest in real estate and not have to do the work that an owner has to do, because you can buy into what we call passive investments, such as real estate investment trusts or mortgages. And in those ways, all you're doing is giving your money and putting it into real estate investments, and then you're getting a return. And those can pay very well as also. And so we talk and teach to those depending on whether it fits your needs. It may be, you might want to do both, and we can show you how to do that. We'll also help you get through to not just where to buy, but helping you take the action that you need, because along the way, we're going to be asking you to do various things to get on track, including getting that pre-approval, because we have the experts there to help you get the approvals and understand how that approval can be used. Because you're right, I saw it in the chat. Someone's like, well, what if my approval is 400,000 or less? Where can I buy? Well, yes, there are places in the province as well as places out of the province that you can buy and get in under 400,000. So the Wealth Building Series starts March 9th. It's 6 weeks of fabulous Kemba and myself helping you do all, that you need to do to get yourselves in order to not just buy your first. For some of you, it could be buying your second, or buying and understanding how you can set yourself up to buy one and then the next. So we'll be holding those on Wednesdays from 7 till 8:30, and the cost is an amazing low price of $3.99. I know that for some of us, we're thinking still, Andrea, that might be out of range, but if you are planning to buy and build something in real estate of, maybe $500,000 or greater, it is a small cost that you take, and you're investing it in you to give you a great return that you can never get anywhere else. I mean, I've been investing for years, and I think my first set of investments at the bank was too discouraging and disappointing that I said to them, "Are you kidding me? You've had my money for 2 years. Can I have it back? It's not earning anything." I'm pretty bold. I don't have time for that. Give me my money back so that I can go and do something else. I could even just enjoy it rather than leaving it here, getting negligible amounts. It's probably even less than inflation. So, and I was too young to understand inflation then, but I knew that it wasn't doing enough. So Kemba, our money back guarantee.
Yes. And so we offer you a 90-day money back guarantee just because we know you're going to get a lot of value out of it, but it'll be, if you don't, we do offer you a guarantee. We just need you to attend the sessions. And if you're not getting anything out of them, for sure, we will give you your money back. And so here we are in the giveaways. Okay, so we have a few people who are still.
Oh yes, and my giveaway questions. So
yes.
it's always good to come to something and win. Plus you're already winning because you're here and you're taking the time to learn. But let's add something monetary to that. And our first question, Kemba, is name in the chat. You have to type it in the chat, and the first person to type it wins what? What's our first prize?
It's actually getting to the Wealth Building Series. Yeah.
Yay. Okay, so type in the chat one factor that we discussed tonight in terms of choosing a location. One factor. I don't know, Marcia, help us find the winner.
Vacancy rates.
Okay, Kristen. Awesome. So, and I see many of them: amenities, research, growth opportunity. But the winner is vacancy rate.
Kristen, yeah. Kristen, hopefully we have a last name as well. We've had trouble finding people if we don't have their last name.
Make sure you've given us, yes, because otherwise we can't reward you. The next one, Kemba, so that we can.
The next one is a coaching session, a free coaching session. We've had some great conversations with folks who've joined us on those coaching sessions.
Okay, so we named for you several locations that we thought were great to buy. Please type in the chat one. One of those amazing places to buy that are cost effective and affordable. Awesome. I see someone said Cambridge right off. So Sharifa, Cambridge. Awesome. And Kemba, then I think the last one to win the Amazon card, we just ask you to snap a picture of you attending this session, post it on your social media, tag us in it. Marcia will type in the chat our handles for Instagram and Facebook so that you can tag us and have a chance to win the free Amazon card. It's $25 gift card.
And we'll be sending you out the Wealth Building booklet and our Credit Repair Simplified ebook. So you can use those as well to help you and provide guidance to you.
Yeah, so there is, I mean, you're all winners tonight because you all get something. I saw someone else asking me, so Andrea, how do you and Kemba manage here, the properties out in Alberta? And we do that by taking on assistants out there. We actually don't hold property managers for those properties. I would call them, I saw the term somewhere, Kevin, I thought that sounded nice, property assistants. And our property assistant came to one of our sessions about 2 weeks ago, was it he was here? 2 weeks? So we have help right on the ground down in Alberta there to help us, because there's absolutely no way that we could do it and do it successfully. And as well, we get amazing tenants. And I must say that, at least for me, I feel in general, we have amazing tenants that make the process work and work smoothly. So that they help make the assisting and the short-term rentals work well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We do have a team. Again, a team.
Yes, essential. And experts. So even we bought there, absolutely, we didn't do it blindly. We had experts who led us to the right places in the Edmonton, Alberta area. We consistently work with those experts. If you are in need or you want guidance to be in certain areas outside of the Toronto area, we can help line you with those experts so that you get the benefit of their experience and expertise, and you buy the right property in the right locations. Okay, someone said, so what do you suggest you do with, let's throw them all out, those horrible high housing prices, let's get rid of them. No, so we do encourage you, if you're staying in the Toronto area and the GTA, that you partner up and you do it in a collaborative effort rather than singular. Singular is too hard now. If you have 2 incomes, 2 credits, 2 sets of deposits or multiples, right? You're more successful.
Yes. So guys, I would say have yourselves a wonderful night. We're at the end of the series and you stayed with us an extra 15 minutes. We really appreciate it.
We're so sorry.
Yeah. But you know what? Book tonight. Go on there and get the session tonight.
Did you give the landing page information, Kim? Because I'm not sure.
Yes. So everybody has the landing page and we'll send it out right after the session. So you have it. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful night, and we hope to see a lot of you in March.
Yes. And Ashley, our guests tonight, have said thank you. They loved your story and they appreciate you sharing that with them. And, Kemba's already set you up for potential future partnerships or joint ventures.
Yes.
So be prepared. Ashley is on Instagram as Ashna Airbnb. And so you can go and follow her there and connect with her as well. And maybe make a stop in Cornwall.
Yeah, I was just going to say, stop on by and say hi. Sky's the limit, you guys. It's all about determination. Nothing's impossible.
No.
Yes, and I hope, is Kyocera still on the call? I just want her to message or send me her email directly, direct message me. Oh, there you are.
You send a private message to Kemba in the chat. Oh, she is. She said here, yes, but maybe just ask her to do it privately.
Yeah.
No, we are here to encourage you. We want to support you. We can't wait. Next year, we're hoping to share more stories and feature more stories of success, or even have the stories featured in our podcasts of those of you that are successful at completing the series and doing something different, getting in the market. It doesn't have to be here. We like Toronto, we like the GTA, but it's too expensive.
Yes.
It's too expensive. See, Ashley left. She's like, forget it.
It's good to visit, not to live.
Yes. We still have friends and family here. We are your friends. We're your
exactly.
Family.
Yes.
You guys. So have yourselves a wonderful night. Thank you again for joining us, and we will hope to see you. Oh, hi, Kristen. I didn't see your face there, so now I'm seeing your face. Hi.
Awesome. Thank you. So we look forward to meeting many of you, whether it be in the series next month or even just to connect. A lot of you we've met through this platform here of, we've never seen you live. In fact, I've never met Ashley live as yet, but I'm coming to Cornwall, Ashley, and I look forward to meeting some of you live.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question. I can't do the session in March 6 weeks. I can't commit to that. So do you know an idea when you may be having it again, so I can figure out? Or are you just gonna wait and see?
So you know what, Paula will probably then share with you our Secrets to Success, which is a different series. It's a different course that we offer. We'll give you the dates for that. That may, because I think you had already said that March was no good. And then we'll give you those dates and see if that works better for you.
Yes, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, no, you're welcome. Yeah, so we'll reach out to you directly, okay?
Okay, all right, thank you. Have a
Awesome.
good weekend, everybody.
No, same to
You
you. Thank
too.
you again.